The Little Princess and the Bubble Spell Rebound Incident. Once upon a time, in a kingdom where moonlight shimmered like silver ribbon and towers hummed softly with magic, there lived a little princess named Princess Eloria. Princess Eloria was not very tall, not very loud, and not very patient either. She had round, curious eyes, a small crown that always slipped sideways, and a habit of tapping her foot whenever she wanted something to happen right now. She attended the Royal Magic Academy for Young Royals, a place filled with floating staircases, whispering books, and teachers who always said things like, "Magic listens to your heart, not just your words." Princess Eloria nodded every time she heard that, but she didn't always listen. The Bubble Spell Lesson. One warm afternoon, Princess Eloria's class gathered in the practice hall of gentle spells. Sunlight poured through rainbow windows, painting bubbles of color on the floor. Today's lesson was written on the blackboard in glowing chalk. Lesson 14. The Bubble Spell Purpose. Protection, calmness, and patience. Professor Lumina, a tall wizard with star-shaped glasses, clapped her hands.
"Remember,"
she said kindly,
"bubble spells are soft spells. They protect without pushing, float without forcing, and only work when your heart is calm."
Princess Eloria bounced on her toes.
"I love bubbles. They pop and shine and float away,"
she whispered to herself. Each student was given a small wand and a single instruction. Create one bubble. Let it float. Do not rush. Princess Eloria lifted her wand.
"Bubble spell, bubble spell, shiny and round."
She flicked her wrist quickly. Too quickly. The first bounce. Pop! A bubble burst into existence, big, bright, and bouncing wildly around the room.
"Oh!"
Princess Eloria gasped. The bubble zipped past her ear, bounced off a bookshelf, ricocheted off the ceiling, and gently bonked Prince Theo on the head.
"Hey!"
Prince Theo laughed. Professor Lumina raised an eyebrow.
"Princess Eloria, slow magic is safe magic,"
she said gently. Princess Eloria nodded, cheeks warm.
"I'll try again,"
she said. This time she closed her eyes. But inside her heart she wasn't calm. She was excited. And a little impatient. The rebound begins. She whispered the spell again. This time, 3 bubbles appeared. They shimmered like tiny moons and then boing, boing, boing! They bounced. Off the walls, off the desks, off the windows. And then boing! Right back at Princess Eloria. One bubble gently wrapped around her head like a helmet. Another wrapped around her waist. The third hovered inches from her nose.
"Oh no,"
she whispered. Professor Lumina tapped her staff.
"Class dismissed, Princess Eloria. We need to talk,"
she said calmly. But before anyone could move, boing! The bubbles bounced again. And again. And again. The Bubble Spell Rebound Incident. The bubbles began to copy themselves. Each bounce created another bubble. Soon, the hall was filled with floating, bouncing bubbles, soft but unstoppable. They bumped chairs into the air. They rolled books across the floor. They lifted Princess Eloria gently off the ground.
"I didn't mean to,"
she cried, clutching her wand. The bubbles responded. Boing. They bounced her higher. Not high enough to be scary, just high enough to be uncomfortable. Princess Eloria's heart began to beat fast. She didn't like this. She wanted it to stop. Inside the bubble, one large bubble slowly floated toward her and plopped around her whole body. Princess Eloria was now inside a transparent bubble. Everything outside sounded far away. She could see her classmates. She could see Professor Lumina. But the bubble didn't move when she pushed it. She sat down inside the bubble and hugged her knees.
I made a mess,
She whispered. The bubble shimmered softly. It did not pop. A quiet moment. Professor Lumina approached slowly.
Princess Eloria, bubble spells reflect what's inside us. When we rush, they rush. When we bounce, they bounce back.
She said gently. Princess Eloria looked at her hands.
I just wanted it to work fast. I didn't want to wait.
She said softly. Professor Lumina smiled kindly.
Waiting is also magic,
She said. The bubble around Eloria pulsed gently, learning to calm the spell.
Let's try something. Put your wand down.
Professor Lumina said. Princess Eloria did.
Now, place your hand on your chest.
The professor continued.
Can you feel your heartbeat?
Princess Eloria nodded.
Breathe in slowly. Count to 3.
Professor Lumina said. Princess Eloria breathed in.
1, 2, 3.
Now breathe out.
The bubble softened. The bouncing slowed. The other bubbles in the room began to float more gently. Understanding the rebound, Professor Lumina spoke quietly so only Eloria could hear.
When we send magic out without thinking, it comes back to us. That is the rebound. It's not a punishment, it's a lesson.
Princess Eloria swallowed.
So, the bubbles came back because I wasn't ready?
Yes, and because you didn't listen to how you were feeling,
Said Professor Lumina. Princess Eloria closed her eyes again. This time, she didn't rush. The bubble changes. Inside the bubble, Princess Eloria imagined calm water. She imagined waiting. She imagined letting go. The bubble around her slowly shrank. It no longer bounced. It floated, softly, like a cloud. Pop! The bubble disappeared. Princess Eloria stood on the floor again. Around the room, the other bubbles gently floated upward and popped one by one, like quiet stars fading, cleaning up together. Princess Eloria looked around. Chairs were tipped. Books were scattered. But no one was hurt.
I'm sorry.
She said, bowing her head. Professor Lumina nodded.
what do we do when magic makes a mess?
She asked the class. Prince Theo raised his hand.
We fix it together.
So they did. Using gentle spells, careful hands, and lots of teamwork, the class put the hall back in order. Princess Eloria moved slowly. She didn't rush. A new bubble spell. At the end of the day, Professor Lumina gave Princess Eloria a small bottle. Inside was a single glowing bubble.
This one won't rebound because it's already calm,
She said. Princess Eloria smiled. That night, in her bedroom, she released the bubble. It floated above her bed, glowing softly like a nightlight. Princess Eloria lay down, breathing slowly. She listened to her heartbeat. She waited. The bubble did not bounce. It simply floated. And when she fell asleep, it popped quietly, leaving behind a peaceful dream. The lesson that stayed from that day on, Princess Eloria remembered. Magic listens to feelings. Rushing makes things bounce back. Calm hearts make gentle spells. Mistakes can teach us how to grow. And whenever she felt impatient, she imagined a bubble, floating, waiting, not bouncing at all. The end.